Here in the council chambers. Thank you those people who are joining us online. This is Monday, September 23 at 7 o'clock, and this is a study session of the City Council, City of Waverly, Iowa. We are called to order. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At-large councilperson Julie Myers will not be present tonight. Her husband, Mr. Jeff Myers, passed from this life to the next following a tragic bicycle accident. Jeff was a friend of mine. He was kind, decent, honest, faithful man who loved his wife, his children, and his grandchildren. There are 4 generations of this family in the area, and I invite Waverly citizens to hold them in your prayers and offer any kindness you are able to. Council, you have in front of you an agenda. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? That's a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That passed unanimously. Now is the time for public comments on items that are not on the agenda. Does anyone wish to rise to speak on a topic that is not currently on the agenda? I see no one, so we move on. Now is the time for a study session. We'll be turning over to the Waverly Municipal Airport Commission for their annual report. Please come up to the lectern.
Good evening. My name is Dennis Hansen with the Waverly Airport Commission. We would like to express our thoughts and prayers to go out to the Myers family. Know them well. Sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and we've got a presentation, slide presentation to go through with you all, if we could. Airport Commission meets every second Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. at the airport. Current commission members are myself, Mike Shearer, Eric Bagelman, Dick Palm, and Dietrich Drenkow. Brian Bergen is the council liaison, and Justin is the director of public works that also attends. The overall airport duties are spelled out. Generally manage the operation of the municipal airport and advise the city council on items pertaining to the operation and development of the property. There is a long list of duties you're welcome to read in regards to budgets, fees, regulations, operations, master development plan, federal funding assistance, activity on the airport, manager recommendations, evaluating the airport manager, funds budgeted for airport purposes, and reviewing of financials. The airport manager is Waverly Air Services, which is Irv Sweeter and his wife Barb, and then under Waverly Air Services, and the fixed-based operator is Sweeter Aircraft Services, which is also Irv and Barb Sweeter. Aircraft maintenance is by Sweeter Aircraft Services, and they have 2 parts there. One is the mechanical side of things. They'll do engine overhauls, plane maintenance. And then they have the avionics side, which for Iowa, there's very few avionics shops in Iowa, and we are fortunate to have one of them located at the Waverly Airport. There's one in Spencer, I believe. No, that's down in Monticello. That one's closed. So there's a few in Iowa, but not too many. So Waverly is very fortunate to have an avionics shop, which I've had them do work, and they do really good work.
Can you explain what that is? What avionics is compared to just fixing an engine?
Sure. So when you sit in the cockpit, there's all these instruments up there. It used to be they're all steam driven. It to tell you your airspeed, your vertical climb, where you're headed, your direction of flight. And now it's a lot more, they call it a glass panel. So it's a lot more GPS driven, and you can electronically manage engine management, navigation management, autopilots, engine management to see your RPMs, your manifold pressure, your fuel flow. All of that is in your avionics to manage your trip
Okay.
and your flying. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure.
So this is a or two private companies that are renting space from the city at the airport, is that right?
One of them is renting space from the airport, which would be Sweeter Maintenance. One is contracted to act as the airport manager, for which the city pays them to do that.
Okay.
So one we pay and one they pay us.
And there are two separate contracts
Yep.
on that.
Okay.
So we've kind of broken it out for that purpose. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a Cessna 340A. It's a twin-engine pressurized airplane with the two piston engines. You can see it's a 6-cylinder engine. He's got the cowlings off, doing some work on it. But if you're ever out at the airport in the hangar, it's full. It's always full. Between doing engine work and installing new avionics, the hangar's full, and sometimes he has airplanes out on the tarmac tied down, and then they rotate them in and out. So busy place for him. Yeah.
Does he also do the inspections? Don't airplanes have to have an annual inspection?
Yes, he does annual inspections from like that, and then if you're doing instrument flying, you have to have your instruments checked every 2 years to make sure they're within tolerances for flying in the clouds. Yeah. So aircraft operations, they cater to business, flight training. We do agricultural. We have a lot of agricultural spray operations up there, both fungicide, herbicide, and then they do
Cover crop?
cover crops. I think there was an article in the paper here recently about the cover crops and the benefits of those. And so that's becoming more and more popular with the farmers and helping them with their nitrogen management in the ground. Airport traffic reports, we look at these each month, kind of breaks out who's coming into the airport between agricultural, business, training, and pleasure. You can see, historically, that July and August, we get a lot of agricultural business in there, and that's the crop spraying. Business is a lot of traffic coming in, both to see the Waverly community business, and then also to have work done on the airplanes there at the airport by Sweeter. So quite a bit of business. And then training activity has been steady. We've got
We got only one airplane
one
now.
instructor and one aircraft that's currently being rented
Yeah,
out.
there's a change going on. There's an instructor who's operating from Waterloo who comes up, will help out Black Hawk flight training. It used to be Tim Bush with Iowa Flight Training, who had a couple airplanes, and he's getting out of the business. So
There's also a program for children, right? Something big going on?
the Young Eagles program by EAA.
It's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fun one to talk about.
Dennis, it looks like the numbers are down compared to 2023 for some of the categories. Is there any reason for that, like the business flights?
I think some of that in the earlier months that you'll see with March, April, and May especially, that they're down because it's weather.
Okay.
I would say most of the pilots that we have out here are VFR only, which means they can only fly visually.
Yeah.
For what I do, I can fly in the clouds, just referencing the instruments only. So
Right.
there's not a whole, I think there's only 2 approaches to get into here to Waverly.
Yeah, it's the same runway, it's just 1-2 and, or 1-1 and 2-9. But yeah, we have instrument approaches now, which are nice.
So weather will always dim it down. As you know, we had a lot of rain this spring, so that was going to keep people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, back in April and May, if you remember, the farming they were delayed in planting crops because of all the rain. We had down numbers for April and May too, because the weather was a lot of rain and nobody was out flying. There's a picture from out by the runway looking back in at the FBO with airplanes out there. This is an older picture because the fuel tank's over there on the west side of the airport. There's a couple of spray planes. No, that's
The Ag Cats, I think.
that one's a air tractor on the right. I don't know if that's a thrush or a dromedary on the left with that radial engine. But a couple of spray planes and the loader in the back you can see on the right side of the picture. So they're doing cover crop with that. The military out of Waterloo, the Air National Guard, they like to come up and do a lot of practice approaches into our airport. And so periodically you'll see them come in, and sometimes they'll land, sometimes they'll hover, and sometimes they dance kind of back and forth. If you catch, it's kind of fun to watch. And also the air ambulance comes in periodically to say hello and practice. So we see them up here, and they come into the hospital quite frequently also. The Young Eagles program. Total Young Eagles flown throughout the United States, 2.4 million as of August 30th this year. So children could come out and be introduced to flying. They get a little introduction to airplanes and how they fly, and then they get to go up for a ride around. They usually head out towards Clarksville and swing south of Waverly, and then come in for a landing. And usually if the child is sitting up in the front right seat, they get to take a turn at steering for a little bit, which really they like to do. I think we had 144 kids. We usually get somewhere between 125 to 150 kids out there. And the airport is busy that day. As you can see in that bottom right-hand picture, we probably had close to a dozen airplanes out there coming and going and in the traffic pattern. The EAA will bring up their own people to act as traffic controllers. So they're very well organized. They've been doing this many years. They do it here in Waverly. The EA chapter out of Waterloo does it here, down in Waterloo and over in Old Wine, and they get about 150 kids at each location. So they're taking 450 kids up a year to introduce them to flying. Past projects out at the airport, 2023 we did the T hangars, did some power supply upgrades. 23 we did a hangar tenant survey, see what they thought. The biggest thing we got out of that was fixing the power supply. 21 we did some security cameras. Back in 19 and 20 we did the runway extension. 19 and 20 we did credit card fueling, which gives us 24/7 fueling for people. They can fly in at 3 in the morning and get fuel, which is nice. 2020 we did a lot of obstruction removal. 2012 through 19 we did land acquisition for the runway safety zones. 2018 we did the new FBO manager, hiring of that. 23 we did the partial parallel taxiway on the west end, which was funded 90% from the federal FAA. And also in 23 we reconstructed the south hangar taxi lane, which was 65% funded by the state. 2018 we did some bulk hangar insulation project. Also we did the LED lighting project, which took it from kind of a dim looking, the old fluorescent bulbs to the LEDs, and that coupled with when Irv came in as airport manager, he came in and stripped and painted the white floors with that epoxy paint with white, with those LED light bulbs. It's bright. It's you can see every nut and bolt on the floor if you're looking. 2016, we did the reconstruction project on the runway, added 400, and that was the runway reconstruction. We repaved the existing 2,800 feet. We did some mechanical room LED lighting. Going back into 15, we did an insulation project just in the mechanics room because the insulation was falling down. And 13 years ago, we did the new access road and the parking lot construction, which was funded by the 90% with the FAA. So when I say the FAA funds it, their funding comes from fuel tax on airplane fuel. So everything the FAA doles out to airports is funded by the fuel tax from fuel sales at the airports. So the airplanes, the commercial airlines, the personal general aircraft, they all pay a fuel tax, and that goes to funding the FAA, that then funds the airport improvements. Yeah. Projected projects, 2025, looking potentially at reconstructing the north hangar taxi lane. I don't know, have we got formal response? Okay. Looking at down the road a little bit, 25 to 30, apron rehab and expansion. We've been out, if you go out on the apron, which is out in front of the FBO, but before you get to the runway, the big place where you park your airplanes, it's got some concrete that's in a little bit of stress. And we've patched it up. The city's been out to help, but over time that's going to need to be replaced, for which FAA federal money is available for. 2025 to 2030, we need to update the master plan, which again, the FAA will substantially fund. And then also looking at constructing new T-hangars with federal funds. That would be on the the southwest corner of that picture, the bottom left-hand corner in that vacant lot. We would be looking at potentially adding additional hangars out there with federal funds. And you can see where the green is, that would be the apron replacement. And then to the right of that, the red is where new concrete would be added to the tarmac. Yep.
So I assume the current hangars are all rented. Is there a waiting list for people to get hangars? Or if we build new hangars out 5 or 10 years from now?
The hangars are all full.
Yeah.
Irv has a semi-waiting list. I say semi because he has people who call, and then he calls them back if there's an opening and he doesn't hear back from them, so he goes to the next person, and then the next, and it eventually gets filled. But he has had a lot of inquiries from other pilots or aircraft owners, I should say, to rent hangar space for their aircraft.
So there is a demand for more hangar space out there?
Yes.
And I would say larger hangar space. So like right now, in that before picture, you can see on the left, there's independent hangars. There's standalone hangars. And you can probably fit a small twin in there, but a larger size twin engine, they're not big enough. So we've had some inquiries about our hangar sizes for, like, I don't know if you remember the Cessna 340A that we looked at, something like that. Right now we don't have any hangars that will fit that. And so the council may, or commission may look at different larger sizes to accommodate larger aircraft. We got plenty of T hangars that can fit smaller planes, but we don't have anything right now that can fit a decent sized twin. Okay. And so it's something to look at in the future. Yeah. Then there's the picture of the hangar construction area we were just talking about. Questions or comments?
So it sounds like you all are still pleased overall with the operations out there and the level of business and the management and
I think so. I've had a couple people come up to me and tell me that Irv has been I'll say a godsend to the airport. They said, we're very lucky to have him. They like what he does. He takes care of everything out there. He was the one that was really pushing to get the 24-hour fuel put in there, because it just made it easier. If somebody wants to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning because they've got to go, he doesn't have to come in. It means somebody can get it after hours and some other things. But he does take care of things.
Yeah, when we switched to Irv, I received a page-and-a-half letter from somebody that was not happy about it. They let me have it. I mean, it was well-written, but, okay, I appreciate your opinions, thank you. You know, and then probably about 2 years ago, I was out at the airport for, I can't remember if it was the breakfast fly-in or the EAA. He approached me and he said, you know what, I was wrong. It was the best decision. It's like, which was, it was nice to hear. But Irv does a very nice job for us. He's very diligent, very detail-orientated, takes his job very seriously. And I think it shows in the people that come to him for work and to work on their airplane. They come from all over the place. Northern Minnesota, North Dakota.
Austria.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a guy who comes over, buys an airplane, or refurbishes it, and then he flies it north, and, well, we'll call it a great circle ride. He goes, hops, skips, and jumps all the way over to Europe. So you can actually say Waverly's an international airport because the registrations are European.
So, from my standpoint, I'm very happy with Irv and the operations and his how he's handled everything out at the airport. And it's very clean, very well maintained, and he stays on top of things in my mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many hangar spaces are available for rent?
Well, we're full, but we have 17 total.
17 total.
So there's 11 T hangars, 3 small standalone hangars, and 3 large standalone hangars. And I'm presuming everybody understands what a T hangar is. Okay, if you look down at an airplane from above, it looks like a T. And so you park them, so one comes in this way and one comes in this way on the
So you
opposite
can-
sides.
Okay.
And
You kind of stack them in there, you know,
Yeah.
and you get more in a smaller space.
Okay. Huh. And so the Public Works guys are out there plowing the snow and taking care of everything, yeah.
Let's talk money.
Sure.
Are you making money, losing money?
With the hangars fully rented for a year, you're the $31,500 a year of income. And that's not including the bulk hangar, which would add another $36,000 to that. Plus the cut and bale grass agreement.
Then
This
we
year
got the
was
crop land rent.
crop and land rent. I forget how much that is, but the cut and bale grass agreement was for $3,750 this year. Although we just stopped the contract on that one.
Knocked over our
Yeah,
windsock
Well, the agreement needs to be
with the hay
reviewed too.
baler. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, we usually get like 10,000 a year funding from the city to basically break even
Yeah,
before capital improvement projects.
right.
So,
And you understand federal funding when it's 90% of the project, so if it's a $100,000 project, the feds are, once it's all paid for, they give us $90,000 back, so it's only costing the city 10 and then you're still getting the income from it as well on top of that.
Well, and that's also always a reimbursement, so we have to pay it, then they pay us back.
yeah.
And the state is you can get up to 85%.
Well, for the role that it plays in the agricultural community, it's probably worth our $10,000 investment.
Yeah, and actually, from what I understand from last meeting 2 weeks ago, cover crop, they put down 70,000 acres. Not just out of Waverly though, we don't know how much that was, but in total, just in a couple-week period, I believe.
I think previous years we've passed out the economic benefit report from the
Yeah.
state of Iowa. If you're interested, you can go out to the Iowa DOT Aviation, and there's a menu over there, and you can there's an economic report that's a couple years old, but it shows the economic benefit of the airport to the Waverly community. It's in the millions of dollars.
I think the last report was $3 million, just economic impact or benefit to the city. All the airports in Iowa, it's $6.4 billion of economic impact to the state. So it's,
It's a great return for our $10,000 investment.
yes.
Yeah. Council, do you have any other questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
In that case, we'd move on to item F, staff updates. Justin, do you have anything to say?
Thank you.
I just want to let everyone know that we are planning on a candlelight walk again this year. November 2nd is our date. I'll have times and all that good stuff for you as we move through October, but it's typically 5 to 7. With this being so close to Halloween, we're looking at possibly encouraging kids to wear costumes, adults to wear costumes, and so on. This is as close as it's ever been to Halloween for us before, so.
Water pollution control facility, project that seems to never end, has kind of seen an end. We're at substantial completion, narrowing in on the punch list. We're at a time where we scheduled a open house for the public. So everyone's invited, October 10th from 4 to 6. We'll be giving tours, staff will be available to answer questions. You know, hopefully we can do a small enough tour so people do have questions, they can get answered. It is quite a facility now, to see the structures and where all the time and money was spent.
About the water tower? Looks
Water
like-
tower, it is getting filled as we speak to be tested tomorrow.
Okay.
So hopefully it's back online here shortly.
And you'll put the antennas back pretty soon?
It'll be a little while, but yeah, the companies have pulled permits and they're working on that. They got a little bit of structural work that'll happen along with it. Just some of the sway bars need to be upgraded and
Sure.
everything. It looks like we're going backwards, but it'll go forward again. So.
Okay, thanks. Chief? Nothing? We'll move on to council updates then. Councilperson Bergen?
Well, I'm sure I won't be the only person to say this, but this is our last meeting before Oktoberfest, so we want to encourage people to attend, volunteer, help out. It's going to be a good time, great activity in the community. I should also mention that so that's October 4th and 5th. On October 6th, that's Sunday, is the Little Try-By Night at the Wartburg, the W. So if you have young children who want to have a mini triathlon experience, you can sign up for that. I know I'm helping out, probably telling people where to ride their bikes. But those are things that are going on in our community. Anyone who wants to discuss city politics, I will be at the poorhouse after the meeting.
Thank you. Councilperson Jones?
Just thinking about Julie and her family. Be kind, Waverly.
Councilperson Dranko?
Yeah, I would just like to express my condolences to Julie. I have nothing else up tonight. That's it.
Wow. Sorry, I'm just taking it back. Councilperson Rathi?
Yeah, I'd also like to express my condolences. Jeff was a friend of mine also. He was a past president of Exchange Club, served as our treasurer for a long time, and just, he will be sorely missed.
Councilperson Wolf?
Also thinking of Julie and her family, and will be available at Get Roasted on Friday from 11:30 to 1 for city business.
Thank you. Just before this meeting, I was over at one of the elementary schools. They had an open house today. So I want to send my congratulations to the school district. They have built some really nice schools. They're very modern, beautiful. The kids are going to love it. Waverly, be kind. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That was unanimous. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night.